Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I want to walk you through this Josh Berry number 31 Bommarito.com custom car that Mr. Matt had requested. So a lot of the Xfinity Chevys are not always nice fits with the decals over the bodies for whatever reason, right? I guess the design is slightly off, whatever. But on this car, there's a little bit of challenges, right? So you can see right here this high opening here. So you got the wheel well, but then the decals kind of make it look a little bit bigger than it actually really is. And so, you know, that's just, it's not the worst thing, but it just looks a little bit off there. The back is not too bad, but it's primarily that front area. The design is just a little bit off. Okay. Now, with this particular car, everything else is pretty good except for this roof. Okay. So the roof decal, and I actually cut up, I'm making two of them here. The roof decal is way too big. And so what I had to do in order to get it right was I had to trim it down just around the 31 as I try to keep as much of this decal as possible, the 31, right, with the white outline. Well, it's got the black and then the white outline over the red. But then you have this Bommarito.com that comes across here. Well, because it's so long, I trim that, and I'm trying to keep all the lettering in place, right? So I trim that, and I had to put this 31 down first, and then I laid this down so I could get it just onto the roof area so I have enough room for the name on the back and then, of course, the windshield banner. But, yeah, it's really a pain. You can see this overlaps this a little bit because I've got to get this in. I didn't feel like trimming the top of the B off. And so trying to get that to fit in there, stretching it as far as I can over to here without overlapping too much and losing this part of the edge of the 3. I'd figured I'd kind of keep that there, and then if I overlap the one, that's the lesser of two evils there. But yeah, it's just, you know, some of the decisions you have to make as you're working this. And then you've got to get the A-pillar decal that stretches all the way across up here in place. And for whatever reason, the design has the signature is kind of angled. You can see it's a little bit angled. It's not straight across. I don't know why that is, but regardless, you know, you kind of have to get that. Once you get this piece in here, you've got to connect it here. And actually, I cut it because it wouldn't fit otherwise, so I cut it a little bit, or I cut it all the way off. So this is one piece that goes up here, and then you've got to lay it in, get the microsole, get it to stretch a little bit so that it can lay in there nice and touch here and also get back over here. So you can see what I've got there. And then on this side, you can really see how the name is slanted forward. You see that there? See how it's like slanted down? It's not, it should be more, you know, up here in line with the roof rail. So I don't know. I have no idea why it does that. You know, that some of the Xfinity decals at Pato's does that. It's just a little pet peeve. That's why I try to, as best as I can, remove the background behind the signatures. But in this case, it just, you know, it didn't make any sense. I had, you know, removing the black was the wiser thing to do. And then you just try to work with this. But you can see how it's slanted like that. And it actually, if I can get it, the lighting just right, you can see where it overlaps the window. And that's another reason why I like to put the windows and put the car back together first, because that is what can happen from time to time. If you didn't put the windows in until after you decaled it, then you might have a problem. And so, yeah, then you're left at maybe cutting it here, trying to lay this in so the name is across there straight, and then maybe trying to patch it here and get it to stretch down. It's not going to look right, but you know, sometimes you just have to do what you've got to do there. But yeah, microsole can get in here get the decal soft so you can kind of stretch it a little bit and work that around, and that's basically what I had to do to get that in there. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with it at the end of the day, Matt. And I did this one with the black or with the black lower valence, and this one I'm going to do with the red. And yeah, I've seen, because this was driven a few times last year, and I saw some with black, I saw some with all red. So yeah, this was a real pain, honestly, guys, to get this in place. So this decal that stretches all the way across here is just one piece, and when you put these things in, it just likes to ride up on the sides. It just rides up big time. So you've got to get the microsole in there. You've got to stretch it. You've seen me work these noses before. And then you've got to kind of pull this down here and pull this down here. And then inevitably you've got some ridges and areas that need to be worked down here. And so you're spending, a good 10, 15 minutes just kind of doing this the whole time, trying to get those bubbles out and get it all smooth. And then, and then you can claim success. But they do not come easy, not at all. So I had a request. Yeah, so I had a request about the pink window nets and how you paint them. Right? There's a couple different ways you can paint them. I have painted them differently. I'll show you. I'll show you one way. And as I'm doing that, I'm looking for. Okay, I want to paint a window net as an example. Let me see if I've got any decal sets from that Charlotte Roval race from 2021, and I can make one. Well, as it turns out, I don't have any more, so I'm going to order another one of the Monster black #1 Kurt Busches, and I'm going to use this Ally. It's a PTC mold, but I'll use this Ally car as a donor for it. So let's take this apart. And let's see about painting that window net pink. And I'm going to show you in a way how to do that. So hold on a second. All right, let's drill this thing out. Oof. Getting close. Okay, the front's done. There we go. I knew it was close. Okay. So, got that out. You can see what I have here on this PTC mold. This kind of lifts up, and then you've got to kind of pull this out, and then you can take that out. So that's a little weird, right? So how would we paint that pink window net? There's a couple different ways to do it. So what I had done previously was I used my white paint pen, and I painted it white, both sides, let it dry, put a coat of sealer on it, and then I came back with this fluorescent pink, and I used my little paint applicator here, and then I would go over it, and I ended up putting like 2 or 3 coats on it because it was just kind of thin. But I needed to get this white so this fluorescent pink would show up in a nice bright pink color. So what I'm going to do, so that's one way, right? That's one way you can do it. What I'm going to do with this, though, is I've got this berry pink spray paint, and I'm going to try it right over top of this black window net, and we'll see what happens, okay? So let's shake this guy up. I was shaking it up a little bit before the camera started. So let's see. do this. And then just kind of go over it. And I'm going to need to put in a couple coats, I can tell right now. And I'm going to do this whole thing, because when I was looking at pictures of the race, and looking on J-Ski's website and stuff, I mean, the whole thing, the front and the whole window net is pink. So you can see that. And if it clumps in between the things, you just kind of touch a little bit and it'll break through. Let's do the other side just to make sure. And actually, I think, well, I shouldn't say I think. I remember seeing that this side was black. So that was very interesting to me. I don't know how they got the window net like that, but, and maybe I'm mistaken, it wasn't black on the inside. But for some reason I remember that I saw a picture of it from the inside during the race, and the net was showing as black. So I wonder if they did that because the drivers are used to it, didn't want a distraction with the pink. I don't know. But yeah. So let's see if I can get this to dry. But guys, this is not that hard. You can see actually one coat's pretty good. See that? It's not bad at all. And I, maybe it's cheesy, I don't know, but I like spraying. If I need to do a little touch-up or whatever in a certain area, I like to just spray into it and use these little applicators. Again, I bought these applicators off of Amazon, 3 different sizes. You can look them up. They're for like women's, makeup products, applicators, whatever, different sizes. I think I got them for like less than $12 or $15, 3 packs. And I mean, they're great. They're just absolutely great. And actually, William, we were talking earlier, you could use these things to do the lower valence on a car. So let me just set this here for now. So like if I have, if I need to paint this lower valence, a color, I could just spray into a plate like that and just do that. See that? And then I don't have to worry about using those goofy decals. Like, let me see if I can find one here. Yeah. Oh, no. Hold on a second. Let me see where I have one. Maybe I already got rid of it. Ah, crap. Hold on. Yeah, so like on this Mustang, right? So you've got this Mustang and you've got this lower valence line, this decal across here. I like hardly ever use that, because if I need to paint that lower valence, or if I need to put this black on the lower valence, I'll just paint it. Or I'll use a paint pen. But what I'm saying is, you could use this, right? You spray into a plate, and then you just take the applicator, and then you just run it around. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, that looks great. I shouldn't say that. It doesn't look great. It looks pretty good, right? I would never, well, I've done it in the past, but I would never do it again. If I need to paint this lower valence, I'm using a paint pen, or I'm using this spray paint and applicator. I am not trying to use some goofy decal that will break apart, or maybe it's not long enough and it won't sit right. It's just all wonky. Wouldn't use it. I would do that. Just what I did. So, hope that helps, William. All right. Let's see. This is kind of drying quickly, and it's a little drying quicker than this this paint that I sprayed into this plate. So let's see if I can get another quick coat on here. Make it nice and pink. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Guys, and I wanted to say this in one of my videos coming up here, but dude, I was at Walmart and Rust-Oleum is pumping out the colors. So yeah, they've got competition on their hands, and they are pumping out the shades. I saw lots of different shades of colors at my local Walmart, and they are, I don't know, they've got colors for so many things now. It's really nice. Looks like I'm losing the tip of this thing. That is one. See that? The tip come off. Because it's getting a little sticky. Yeah. But, yeah, so lots of colors out there for the Rust-Oleum. And that's always great to see. Yeah, they're stinking $6 a can now. So that's unfortunate, but who knows? Maybe one day it'll come back down a little bit. I don't know. This inflation stuff is just crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, I don't know. I think this is probably good. Don't really need to do much on the back side. But this side, you can see, I think that looks pretty good, guys. I could probably wait, put a coat of sealer on it, and then, let's see if I can get this to focus a little bit better. Let's see if I can get this to fold up here now. Yeah, that might work better. See that? There you go. That's how I would do it. That's how I would do it. Pretty straightforward. Rust-Oleum berry pink. I think that's a good color. I mean, you could probably go a little bit lighter if you wanted to, like a lighter pink. Looking at some of the pictures again, I think it wasn't maybe as deep of a pink as that. Maybe it's a little bit brighter, but you ain't gonna get much better than that, guys. So yeah, so that's that. That's how I would do that. And then you can either clean this off or whatever, keep it for whatever if you needed to do it again. Let's see what else I got going here. So I've got a few cars. I've got those opened up back there. A couple more Rowdies. Blake, I got your two cars all opened up. Making that number 14 mobile one. I used the Smoke and Mirrors metallic paint this time. And yeah, give that a go. Pretty happy with that. I like that paint. It dries like super fast. I mean, it was like 20 minutes I could handle it. It was really nice. And I got those two. So I got all these to paint black and these two white. What do we got here? Check this out. So, Sedaris, I got yours pretty much done. Got the roof lines, the spoiler black, the lower valence black. I may do one more coat of sealer on that guy, but she's glossed up, looking pretty good. Pretty happy with how that pedigree turns out. Pretty straightforward car, but sharp nonetheless. Kyle, here's the first of the Rowdy Fantasy 54s, Rowdy Energy. The one issue I have with these, just so you know, and you can email me or tell me what you want to do, but the way that this this side valence is, or side valence, this side decal is, I didn't want to put it too low where it covers this, because then the 54 is like way low. It looked better having it up high like this and then having this exposed. Now, I was thinking I could paint this black and then it would go from like black to green to black, or I just leave it white and it rides like that. I did paint the black valence on the front here, lower valence. I painted that black. So I was thinking initially I'd paint this black, but I wanted to throw it out to you. All these rowdy cars that you've asked for are going to end up very similar to this, of course. And if you want me to be consistent and paint all of them black, or leave them or leave them white, whatever. But yeah, that's that. It's got one coat of sealer on it, and yeah, not done. I want to run black across here ever so carefully between there and the spoiler, so that's consistent. But yeah, fun car to make for sure. And then, Matt, here's the Western Star Brad Keselowski playoffs win car from Richmond. This turned out pretty well. It's actually sharper than I thought it would be, but this little, again, tri-state area is a little tough, but I think I got it as best as I can get it there. The decal set came with the spoiler white, and it's most of these Mustangs from that year have a big spoiler. And looking at the pictures of the car, a couple things I noticed was the spoiler it doesn't look white. It almost looks like it's a metallic silver color. But since the decal set came with the white decal, I said, you know what? I'm gonna put that on there and see if you like that or not. Now this little guy wants to pop up back here. So yeah, so that's that. It's funny. I was going back and forth about the tires, because the tires are actually, I think they're yellow, but by the end of the race they're practically black from the brake dust and all the brake at Richmond. So I just went with the black tires. You can tell me if you want something different. You can shoot me an email and say, hey Doug, yeah, can you make one with a silver spoiler and the yellow rims? And I'll go ahead and do that. Just let me know. But this is where it's at right now. I got just one coat of sealer on it. Just finished that up yesterday, and gonna start sealing it today. So yeah, so that's where that stuff is. And let's move on to verse number 17. See if I can get this. Yeah, I thought I grabbed two there. So here's a Bible memory verse, but it's really a section of verses. It's a group of verses 4 to 6. So it's 3 verses total from the book of Job about integrity. And I really like this verse because at one of our men's retreats back then, our pastor was going over Job 31. And if you know anything about Job 31, the first 12 verses are very great life lessons for men. It deals with the sins that we get, or not sins, but the temptations that I think men get attacked with on a consistent basis. But I'll let you go to Job 31 and look at verses 1 to 12, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Doth not he see my ways and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot hath hastened to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know mine integrity. So here's Job, and again, if you know anything about the book of Job, there's a heavy section of Job kind of defending himself and talking about his life and how upright he has lived and how he has not lived a sinless life, but lived a life of integrity. And he's responding to questions of his so-called friends that are saying, hey, all this calamity that has happened to you is because you've done something wrong, and you just need to fess up to what that is. and they go after him for X, Y, and Z, and he's miserable, and physically he's lost his children, he's lost his wealth, he's lost his health, and his so-called friends are just grilling him and bringing the vitriol to him and saying, hey, you screwed up and you just need to confess. Well, he's defending himself, and he says, hey, I haven't done these things that you speak of, and I haven't done this, and I haven't done that, and I haven't done this. This is what I've done. And he says, doesn't God see my ways? Doesn't God count all my steps? And he says, if I have walked with vanity, and that word vanity is very interesting. It kind of means emptiness in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, I've got falsehood written down here. If I've walked with a deceptive or a false life, I'm putting up a false front. If I've walked that way, or if my foot hath hasted to deceit, where I have run to do deceit or dishonesty to my neighbor, to anybody, then he says, hey, let me be weighed in an even balance, a just balance, that God may know mine integrity. I say, Doug, why would you memorize verses like that? Well, I have come to really appreciate Job and appreciate that book. I remember a summer I would listen to it over and over and over again because I was so amazed at the life, the upright life that Job lived, and how he was so open with his friends and to God, and say, listen, if I've done something wrong, then I deserve what has happened to me, but I haven't done these things in order to deserve what has happened to him. And so he has such a testimony, and we see these different men and women, but obviously I'm a man, so I'm looking at these men, I'm looking for examples, and Job is just a terrific example of an upright man. And if you go through the book of Job and you read it in context and you meditate on it, you see all these things that Job talks about, the things that he's done, the things that he hasn't done. And you say, man, I wish I could live like that. I wish I would be able to say that if I were weighed in a just or an even balance, meaning a balance that is, no kidding, not biased one way or the other, would I come out clean? And I wouldn't. But Job was arguing and saying, you know what? Look at my life. Look at what I've done. And I want to be weighed in that balance. I want to be weighed because I have done right in my life. And it's very interesting indeed. But we see the characteristics of God, that God sees our ways. He counts our steps. He knows how we live our life. And the challenge is that we would live it in light of that we would live our lives and recognize that God knows what we do, and we ought to live it to honor Him and not walk in dishonesty, but walk in faith. Hope this is helpful to you guys. God bless.